In this little quick tips video, we thought we might show you how to make this layout that Don Harding sent in, his little love potion jug. He had used the bottle from the wine Wine Bar #1 project and did some squishing and pulling and ended up coming up with this great little layout for a love potion. And because it's so close to Valentine's Day, this seemed like the perfect opportunity to post this little video. So we're going to minimize this and we're going to bring up VCarve Pro. So we're going to create a brand new file. Now of course you can make this whatever size you want, but for us we're going to start it at 6 inches by 6 inches. We're going to use a 3/4 inch piece of material, datum set to the center, and we're going to use a very high resolution. Click OK. I'm going to go to our clip art tab and we're going to find in our Design and Make folder the Wine Bar #1. So Design and Make, Wine Bar #1, and we're going to bring in our wine bottle. And there it is. So obviously this does not quite look like what Don's version does. And what we think he may have done is taken this and grabbed the top center handle, holding down the shift key, and then dragging and squishing that bottle into something that looks something like that. And then maybe he took it and pulled it out a little bit to make it a little bit more fatter, to make it look more like a potion bottle. And then we're going to scale that up, holding down the shift key so it scales from the center. We're going to bring that up and make it as big as we need to be, to be in our material. So it looks pretty good. So the next thing we're going to do is we're going to go ahead and check the shape height of this by using our pop-up properties tab. And we're going to make this, because the wood or our material happens to be a 3/4 of an inch thick, we're going to make our bottle a 1/2 inch thick. We're not going to give it any base height, and we're going to go ahead and be happy with that. Now, Don had laid out some text on his bottle that says, it seems to have gone away on me, "My little jug love potion." So we're going to go ahead and lay out something like that. So we're going to go and press F on the keyboard to focus in on the center of our job space. I'm going to go to our drawing tab and we're quickly going to draw a box. Now as soon as I click to draw a box, the grayscale of the wine bottle gets light on us and we can't see where the label is. So if we close that down and we select our wine bottle again and we right click on it and we go down to Object Properties, we can go ahead and we can change the fading on this is a non-selected bitmap. So we're going to turn it all the way to 0. So even if it's not selected, it's still going to be the full grayscale, and if we select it, it's going to look the same. This is a little bit of a word of caution on this, that if you do this and you're going to be doing more with your 2D view later on and other 3D clip art, then you're going to want to make sure that you go back and reset that back again when you're all done. It's an important thing. So we're going to go ahead now and draw a box, and we're going to go ahead and draw the box just a little bit smaller than the label on the bottle. And we're going to go ahead and just make it right about that size. We're just kind of guessing at that. We're going to go apply and then close. We're going to take that and we're going to offset that in because we'd like this to be the border of our label. So we're going to go inwards 0.05 an inch and we're going to offset that in. Oh, I need to select that vector first, offset that in. I'm going to close that. And let's add some text. And on our bottle, we're going to call this Love Potion #9. And we're going to make sure that that's centered. We don't remember it being bold. I think it's going to be fine just the way it is. Hit apply. It looks great. I'm going to close that. Select the text and we're going to size it down so the love potion fits in the label. Use our cursor keys to nudge it down. Now this looks great except for our 9 is off the bottom of our label. So if we right click on that while we have the text selected, we can break that text into lines because it's 2 lines. So we're going to go ahead and do that. And what that will do is it makes these 2 lines of text. So, and knowing that means that if I want to add or edit this text, I can go back to my text gadget here and I can go ahead and change that text if I want to. We don't want to do that though. But now I can nudge that up onto my label. Let's just zoom in a little bit. Maybe we'll bring that up a little. And that looks pretty good. So now what we're going to do, because the label on the bottle that's modeled on there is bent, we need to bend our new label to fit that. So we're going to go ahead and select all of those vectors and font, and we're going to use our distort object. we're going to use a bounding box. What that's going to do is it's going to create a box around our vectors that we have selected, and we're going to be able to distort that box, and anything inside that box will be distorted. So we're going to click apply. And one of the great things is that right now these are the bounding box is made up of 4 lines. We don't want to treat these as lines. We want to right click on the top and the bottom and make it a Bezier curve so that we can bend it instead of just moving it up and down. And then we're going to grab those 4 control points and we're going to use our cursor key and we're just going to nudge it down so it fits roughly in that label. And that looks pretty good. Maybe we'll grab all that, including the 2 corner nodes, and move it up. Maybe do the same with the bottom. I liked it where it was. And we're going to go ahead and click close. And now we have our vectors for our V-carving. So our Love Potion number 9 bottle. Now quickly, I'm going to throw out some tooling. Now again, this tooling is just demo tooling. You're going to want to change the variables that are necessary for your machine, the way you're going to tool it, and the material that you're going to use. So do not use these as being correct at all. This is just going to show you the result that you could end up with. So we're going to go ahead and pin that down. And we are, first of all, we're going to go over to our 3D view just so we can see it. And we're going to start by doing roughing pass. Because we hadn't set up our material yet, it's going to ask us to. So we're going to make sure that our material thickness is proper, which it is. Our datum set to the center, which is great. Our model is at the top of our board, which is where we want it to be, and we want the gap to be at the bottom, so that'll give us a 1/4 inch of backing to our bottle, and that looks great. We're going to click OK, and then we're going to start and define our roughing pass. We're going to use a 1/4 inch end mill. We're going to use our model boundary. Our boundary offset is going to be a 1/4 inch. That means it's going to go outside of our model boundary by a 1/4 inch, which just happens to be the thickness of our cutter. Our machining allowance is going to leave 0.04 of an inch of material behind, and everything else looks great, so we're going to go ahead and calculate that. And as always, when you're calculating your tool paths, you should always preview them. If they don't look right on screen, there's a pretty good chance they're not going to look right on your machine. So let's preview that tool path, and that's exactly what I kind of expected to see. Looks great to me. Let's close that down. Let's quickly do a finishing pass. We're going to use a 1/8 inch ball nose end mill, which is great. Model boundary again. We're going to use a 1/4 inch offset again. And we're going to use an offset machining strategy. So it's going to start from the center and work its way out. And we're going to go ahead and calculate that. It'll take a minute to calculate, and depending on the size of your project and the size of your cutter you're using, this could take a little more time. So let's go ahead and preview that. It's going to clean that up quite nicely in the end. You can see that our label is there, and the wax seal on the bottle is there as well, and the dots in our cork are showing up quite nicely. Let's look straight down on that. So that looks pretty good. Let's close that. Now let's go ahead and do our V carving. So we need to go to our 2D view, and again we're going to press F on the keyboard. We're going to select all those vectors, and we're going to create a V carving tool path. Our cutting depths are going to be 0 and none, and not a flat bottom. That's fine, because what we're going to end up doing is we're going to end up projecting this V carving onto the face of our label on our bottle. We're going to use a 60-degree V carving tool. Everything else looks great, but this is the most important part right here. Project toolpath onto 3D model. We're going to click that. We're going to hit calculate. Then we're going to preview that toolpath. Oh, that looks fantastic. So next thing we may have chosen to move that down a little bit, or taken those 2 control nodes here that we were using when we did our distortion and maybe round it out a bit more, but that's fine. It doesn't look so bad. Let's close that, and let's do a profile cut to pop it out of our wood. So in order to be able to do that, we're going to have to go to our 2D view, and we need to get a outline of our bottle. So again, you can't tell if it's selected in it anymore. Remember, we had changed the preferences. So let's right click on that and go back to our object properties and change this to about 35. Close. And now we're going to know if we have it selected or not. See the difference? And we're going to go ahead to our modeling tab and click outline. So we now have an outline of that. That's perfect. Going to go to our profile tool, click to our 3D view. Now, my quick tip here for the cutting depth, as always in all these videos, is that these numbers need to add up to the total thickness of your material. So in this case, we've already cut down a 1/2 inch. So our first pass of our cutout pass is going to be at the 1/2 inch mark, and then we want it to go down a 1/4 inch. That's through that extra material that we have. We're going to use an end mill, a 1/4 inch end mill. We're going to go outside that line, which is great. And normally we would add in tabs because we wouldn't want this piece to fly out while it's machining off your table. But in this case, I'm not going to show you how to do that because I want to get rid of the extra material so I can show you the finished piece. And then we're going to go ahead and calculate that. And we're going to preview the visible toolpath, and you'll see it cut right through our material. Let's double click on this material to get rid of the waste material. And now we have our love potion, the way it's going to look in the end. And just so that our love potion text and our little border here stands out, if we choose the VCarve toolpath down here, we click on toolpath color and we choose black, then you'll see that VCarve Pro will automatically color in that toolpath for us so that we can see a little better what it's going to look like. And if you have to get that approved by a customer or whatever, then that's great. Now, as I was doing this, I just remembered that this could also make a great Halloween project. Put your skull and crossbones on this, or maybe make it your special spooky potion bottle. Then you can make a great project for Halloween. Now, if you are looking for a project specific for Valentine's Day weddings or anniversaries, of course we have the Be Mine #1 project, which comes with the 2 hands with the heart shape in the center, rings, heart rings, some game tiles, which are a lot of fun for all kinds of different projects and hacks, and then this nice little border sign, which is kind of a nice retro look. You can make a nice wedding sign from that. And if you're looking for some food for thought, we've got some great food for thoughts here for how to use those models and layouts. Oh, and I forgot to show you this part, but the assembled layout that you get with this particular project is this background, this retro sign with the hands in the center. So with a little bit of V-carving, you can come up with a pretty nice end result, which is right here, great anniversary plaque. Anyway, I hope that quick tip was helpful. I guess it wasn't so quick, it was 12 minutes. Maybe in the future, I'll try and make these a little more quicker. Thanks so much for watching. Important note, if you plan to create tooling and run it on your CNC, make sure that you use values for the material setup and for the parameters of each toolpath that are safe and appropriate for your CNC machine, the tooling you have available, and whatever material you are planning to use for your project.